What happened in my BF refuses to buy me female products, pads, and now I'm upset. That changed everything. It started as a simple request and somehow spiraled into a conversation that revealed way more than a disagreement over a shopping trip. I'm a 25-year-old woman and my boyfriend is 28. We've been together for over 3 years and honestly, I thought things were going well. That day felt normal at first. I was planning dinner with friends, cooking pasta, and I expected him to grab a few things from the store. He was getting off work earlier than me, so it seemed easy. Then, right before I was about to leave work, I got my period. I didn't want to deal with the discomfort, and I definitely didn't want to risk an embarrassing situation, so I texted him and asked if he could pick up some pads for me while he was out. His reply was immediate and blunt. I'm not doing that. At first, I thought maybe he didn't understand what I meant or where to find them, so I tried again. I told him I was going home, that they were in the personal hygiene aisle, and that I needed them. He didn't soften at all. He just said, "So go get them yourself." I was stunned. I'd never dealt with this from him before. He hadn't had an issue picking them up for me in the past, but back then, we were living at his mom's place, and she'd always done everything for him. Now we're living together, and it felt different. This wasn't just about being squeamish. It felt like the first time I was seeing what he does when something is inconvenient, uncomfortable, or not directly about him. I asked him more directly, "Aren't you going to the store?" He said yes. So I followed up with a simple, "Please get it for me." No. No explanation. No, I can't. No, I don't know what to buy. Just a flat refusal, like I'd asked him to do something outrageous. And then the conversation basically ended with me sitting there, frustrated and embarrassed, feeling weirdly alone over something that shouldn't have been a big deal. To make it worse, he suggested we shouldn't have people over that night. I was already upset, and that made me feel even worse, like my period, and his refusal to help somehow meant I should cancel my plans too. So I went on my own. I was in pain and I felt awkward, and I did what I had to do to get through it, using toilet paper to make do because I didn't have another option. And standing there dealing with that, I couldn't stop thinking, it's not even about pads. It's the total lack of care, the lack of basic understanding. The way he made it my problem and acted like helping me was beneath him. What really hit me was how sharply this contrasted with what I've done for him. 2.5 years ago, he had a serious accident while skiing. He broke his leg and dislocated his shoulder, and he was completely immobile. He couldn't do the basics, and I was there for him through all of it. I took care of him when he needed real help, physical help, day-to-day help, the kind that takes time and patience. I didn't hesitate. I didn't make him feel gross or inconvenient. I just showed up and handled it because I loved him. So being treated like this over something so simple, it didn't feel small. It felt like a slap. Like, I'd learned that when I'm the one who needs support, he can just opt out. The next night, we finally had a long conversation about it. He admitted he was wrong. He called himself an asshole for how he handled it. He said he'd been dealing with nicotine withdrawal and that he'd been irritable. He also told me that the small Italian supermarket he went to didn't carry personal hygiene products. But even hearing that, it didn't really land as a full explanation for me. Because if that was the issue, why couldn't he say that from the start? Why couldn't he tell me they don't have them there, or I feel uncomfortable, or even, I'm anxious about buying the wrong thing, can you tell me exactly what to get? Anything would have been better than an instant "I'm not doing that," and "go get them yourself." I appreciated that he finally owned up to it, but I still couldn't shake the feeling that something deeper was going on. He grew up with a mom who never taught him about this stuff, and he didn't have sisters to normalize it for him. And I get that people have blind spots. But he's 28. At what point does "no one taught me" stop being an excuse? At what point do you step up, learn, and do better, especially when it's your partner asking for something basic? He promised he'd work on himself. He said he'd respect my boundaries. He even offered to take a break if I needed one. He told me he didn't want me to leave, and he begged me to stay. And that's where I'm stuck, because part of me hears the apology and wants to believe it. Part of me sees that we just moved in together, and that he has been helping around the house. But another part of me can't stop replaying how quickly he dismissed me, how easily he said no, and how alone I felt in a moment where I shouldn't have been alone at all. I keep wondering if I'm making excuses for him, or if I'm overreacting, Or if this is one of those moments that looks small on paper, but actually says something big about emotional support and empathy. I don't want to turn one incident into a life sentence, but I also don't want to ignore a sign that I might be building a life with someone who checks out the second things get uncomfortable. So I don't know how to move forward from this. I don't know if I can get past the way it felt, or if I'm supposed to treat this like a warning and take it seriously before it becomes a pattern. What would you do in this exact situation?